Ireland here, and today we are going to be taking a look at a scenario where Ukraine forms an empire. So let's get started. So the reason Ukraine is red and Russia is blue with the Russo-Ukrainian war is because what is it called? Ukraine's the one forming the empire here. But with that being said, Ukraine's going to actually start to receive a lot more, a lot more support from the West. Because if y'all don't know, recently Ukraine has actually made an offensive in the Crimea, which has been under Russian control for a while now, since like 2014. But I don't know exactly how the defensive is really. I don't know what part they own, so we're just gonna say they own this bit, and then this part is obviously just the parts Russia's taken from Ukraine. But let's assume that Ukraine gets a lot more help from the West here, and they're actually gonna start rapidly pushing Russia back, which eventually leads to Russia having to withdraw troops from Crimea, and eventually, this area also falls back under Ukrainian control. So both Russia and Ukraine don't really see a point in fighting this war anymore. So what is it called? Basically, peace is gonna be signed, but it nobody gained anything. But peace, other than Ukraine, they did get what is it called, Crimea back from 2014. But yeah, the peace is finally going to be signed, and Ukraine is going to be the technical victor of this war, since they managed to keep Russia out of their territory. So, I guess, it was out of their territory. So yeah, Ukraine has won this war, and Russia is being heavily sanctioned by both the West and Ukraine now. But there is still some trade between Russia and Ukraine, but the relations are not good at all. But let's see what Ukraine does here, from this point forward. So, Ukraine's kind of alright, we want to expand a little bit. So, instead of going after Moldova first, because that's more of a Western aligned country because of Romania and everything, they're going to go after Belarus because they'd probably get help from the West with this. So, let's see what happens. So, Ukrainian troops end up entering into Belarus, specifically the south of it. This was a pretty surprising invasion. And also on the side of Ukraine, what is it called? Poland joins on Ukraine's side against Belarus. So basically, Polish and Ukrainian troops are gonna start kind of just rolling over the country, and Russia doesn't get involved since they literally just got out of a war with Ukraine, but they are heavily supplying Belarus. That's why they're able to pull off pretty impressive military operations like this one, and I guess this one. They even start pushing into Ukraine, but this honestly just pisses Ukraine off. And eventually, what is it called? Belarus's capital, Minsk, is going to be kind of neared, and they end up doing this thing that's called Operation Christmas Tree, because this looks like a fucking Christmas tree like that. Like there. And they Christmas tree Minsk, so they now plan to encircle it and just capture it. So yeah, finally, what is it called? Minsk is going to be completely encircled here. And, Minsk is on the verge of being captured, but they haven't been just yet, as Belarus manages to stay alive for a little while. But, eventually, with Belarus kind of being crushed, and only in very small parts of Belarus being, left, their politicians, their government and whatnot, flees into Russia, and, Minsk falls. And why did that just happen? But yeah, Minsk falls too. Hold on. Guys, I don't know what's happening with my map right now, and I'm sorry, but yeah, so with that, Belarus has fallen, and so let's take a look at this peace treaty. So taking a look at this peace treaty here, we can see that Ukraine has annexed a bunch of southern Belarus. Poland has annexed some of the west of Belarus, and the rest of Belarus has been turned into kind of I guess they're kind of under the administration of both Poland and Ukraine. They're kind of sharing it, and their beliefs, even though they are what is called imperial, they're kind of democratic. It's a free country to be in Ukraine and Poland. So yeah, they're putting this influence on Belarus, and eventually Belarus is even led into NATO. No, actually, you know what? I don't even know why I said that. There's no military alliances in these scenarios. But yeah, Belarus is now a trusted country among the West. Their capital is still held at Minsk, And let's take a look at Ukraine's next invasion here. Well, I guess next thing that'll happen because it's not really going to be an invasion. So taking a look at the next thing that's going to happen here for Ukraine, well, they have a very interesting, I guess, proposition for Georgia to join them. So, basically, with a lot of good relations between Ukraine and Georgia, this union ends up happening, but it's under Ukraine, and they're kind of just like Russia. We know you don't want war, so like just like screw no, like just like don't deal with Abkhazia and whatnot. And Russia is fucking pissed, but they can't really do much about it, really, and they don't want to go back to war again, so they're just gonna kind of let it happen. And they even do recognize it just so they don't have problems with the world. But like, let's see the next thing that Ukraine does. So the next thing that Ukraine's going to be doing here is they're going to be going after Moldova. So Romania doesn't get involved on Moldova's side because they don't really want to go to war with Ukraine, who's a growing power. So they're just going to kind of ditch Moldova unless something's alive of Moldova somehow. But after the war, and like they get them to unite into them. But Ukraine's gonna squeeze through what is it called? Moldova. I forgot the name for a second. And they had a lot of success with this invasion because Transnistria is a breakaway state who kind of just broke away and just kind of joined Ukraine like forcefully, but like promised independence. But that's not gonna happen. I'll show you all in the peace treaty. So taking a look at this peace treaty, we can see that Ukraine has fully annexed Moldova. So let's take a look at the next thing that Ukraine does. So the next thing that Ukraine's going to be doing here is they are going to be invading Slovakia and Hungary at the same time. But due to this and the Visegrad alliance, Poland and Ukraine have been getting along pretty well, but Poland's not going to be happy about this invasion, but they won't go to war with Ukraine since they've been getting along. But due to the Visegrad alliance, Visegrad or whatever, Czechia will get involved on the side of Slovakia and Hungary. So let's take a look at what happens here. So, the first thing that'll end up happening is, Ukraine will end up pushing into Slovakia and Hungary. And, they're gonna continue to do so until Czech, Hungarian, and Slovak, what is called reinforcements come in. And, basically what's gonna end up happening here is they're just gonna kind of keep pushing in. But, it comes to a point where I guess the four decide to sign peace. So, let's take a look at this peace treaty. So taking a look at this peace treaty here, we can see that Czechia, the remainder of Slovakia and Hungary have all united, and Ukraine has taken the eastern parts of Slovakia and Hungary. But now Ukraine's eyeing up Romania, so let's see what happens with this. So just like that, Ukraine declares war on Romania. So let's see what happens here. So basically what Ukraine's going to be doing first is they're going to be kind of spearheading from Hungary here, where they have a lot of troops, and capturing Transylvania, as they manage to kind of close in with troops coming from Ukraine too, and they managed to put to hold a pretty good offensive against Romania. But basically, what's gonna end up happening here is Romania's gonna end up pushing them back and actually going into southern Ukraine. But this will just piss Ukraine off, as Ukraine's gonna respond in force, and they are gonna start crushing Romania. They landlock Romania, push around a little bit more, encircle this area, capture it. Eventually, Bucharest is separated from, I guess, like, there's East and West Romania now, and Bucharest is in the east. Meanwhile, this western part is just weird. But yeah, a bunch of western, I guess, like, people / troops, fleeing to Serbia, and whatever government officials live there. And now pretty much everybody's just fleeing into Bulgaria from this little part, except for the government in Bucharest. And eventually the government is encircled, and they just kind of come out with their hands up. So yeah, let's take a look at this peace treaty. So taking a look at this peace treaty here, we can see that Ukraine has taken a lot of, I guess, like, this portion of Romania, the northern portion, with the city of Cluj-Napoca is also being captured, which is a major city in Romania, but that's in the Transylvania area, and Transylvania was already captured earlier, but whatever. So basically, Ukraine, they're gonna eye up. Oh, I guess like somebody who they don't really have, who they're not really in bad relations with. So, yeah, let's take a look at what happens here. I honestly don't know what I was saying for a second there, but yeah, Ukraine's gonna be eyeing up Poland, who they don't have bad relations with, at least to this point. So, Ukraine, unbeknownst to Poland, is gonna cross into the country, and then people kind of just start to find out like later on, and by that point, it's kind of too late, and Poland's gonna start getting steamrolled by Ukraine. Compared to compared to Ukraine's military, Poland really doesn't stand a chance, but they do have some defense, so I won't completely underestimate them. Like they could probably make an offensive like this, but Ukraine is gonna push it back. And eventually it comes to a point where what is it called? The two decide to meet for peace. So let's take a look at this peace treaty. So taking a look at the peace treaty here, we can see that what is it called? Ukraine has taken all of, I guess, eastern Poland, and they've also taken Poland's Belarusian claims. So Poland has been squeezed down to like less than they even originally had before Belarus. Like Poland's not in the best of state, is not in the best of shape right now, but they're not in the worst of shape either. It does kind of suck for them. But let's take a look at the next thing that happens here. So the next thing that's gonna end up happening here is y'all may have been expecting this and y'all may not have been expecting this, but Poland, no, but what is it called? Ukraine declares war on Russia. So let's see what happens here. So taking a look at what's gonna end up happening here is since Russia didn't really know that anything was gonna happen, like they weren't expecting this whatsoever. Like a lot of countries might have been, but Russia definitely wasn't. They were like, not like no, I'm pretty sure we would have found out about that. But yeah, let's just say Russia's kind of getting steamrolled here, and they've almost been cut off from like I guess like this major port over here. But the Russians do manage to defend that and start pushing back the Ukrainians, and they've almost met the Ukrainian border, but they haven't just yet. But they do start a push into Georgia to start trying to liberate the land. They don't liberate all of Georgia, but they liberate some of it, and this is when Ukraine snaps back and just kind of starts pushing into Russia kind of rapidly, and eventually, what is it called? With the tiny border they have with Russia over here, Ukraine is gonna capture Kaliningrad. I don't know if y'all can see that border, but yeah, they do have a teeny tiny border with Russia, in which they're gonna be capturing Kaliningrad out of, since Russia didn't really have any troops there. I know it's like a special operation place, but like Russia definitely had to pile troops. But yeah, nonetheless, Russia's gonna push back Ukraine a lot, but they won't be able to do like a ton to Ukraine, but they will manage to, I guess, like get some of Ukraine's actual land. But let's see what ends up happening here as Ukraine manages to push even more and more. And this is when Finland decides to snap at Russia and they declare war on Russia. So since this definitely wasn't expected by Russia either, that part of Russia is going to be knocked out. I'm not sure what that's called. Pretty sure that's like a peninsula or something. But yeah, now Finland's going to kind of spearhead across a bunch of areas of Russia, as well as almost encircling St. Petersburg here, but they don't just yet encircle St. Petersburg. It is very close though. So basically what's going to end up happening now is Russia's going to start trying to push back Ukraine from Moscow, but this won't go the best really because Ukraine is pretty strong in these areas. But Russia will manage to get some amount of pushback. But this is when Ukraine starts pushing in, and they start taking major names here. They start taking a lot of cities, and eventually it comes to a point where Finland actually kind of unexpectedly grabs St. Petersburg, since Russia has had to, I guess, pull some troops out of there. But yeah, it's unexpected, but they do manage to grab St. Petersburg as as Russia's morale is ruined and they kind of just start falling, also losing their warm water port over there. They kind of just they're kind of just screwed up. Like to be real, yeah, they're kind of. But it comes to a point where Russia's just kind of like, all right, let's just meet for peace, guys, and Finland and Ukraine are just kind of like, okay, fine. But yeah, let's take a look at this peace treaty. So taking a look at this peace treaty here, we can see that Ukraine has taken a lot of southern Russia. I'm talking a lot. Like they've taken land and they've taken names, dude. Like they've taken a lot of land. And basically the remainder of Russia is just kind of like well, Finland does get some of it. Like they get some of their claims, but they don't get to keep St. Petersburg. That goes back to Russia, as well as surrounding warm water ports. And what is it called? Russia also holds on to Moscow, since that was never even. It was barely even near. No, they didn't even get that close to it. Like they got kind of close to it, but not that close. And so yeah, basically, yeah. So Ukraine, with Kaliningrad, they don't actually take the whole of Kaliningrad, even though Kaliningrad is connected to Ukraine through that little through that little like Polish border thing. It's kind of hard to get to, but you can get to it. You can get to it. Obviously, it's accessible, but it's a pain in the ass to get to. So instead, it just turned into a puppet. So Kaliningrad's made its own country, but it's a puppet of Ukraine. And I feel like this would be the Ukrainian Empire at its peak. And I hope y'all enjoyed. I'll see y'all later. Peace out. Like and subscribe. Love y'all. Ireland Man.